two big things in the news this week and three big leadership failures. Now that's a big deal. I'm rushing this a little bit because I really just felt like something needed to be said, because these leadership issues just shouldn't have happened, because I know this environment, I know the people, and I know that there are these great different-minded, brilliant, neurocomplex, technical, creative, imaginative souls that could see these issues coming from a mile away, and they're just steamrolling like a big train. Well, trains don't steamroll. They don't flatten well enough, do they? And so what are these big issues that have come up in the news? Well, the two big issues, three big failures. So the two big issues is the Telstra outage that saw a nationwide mobile network go completely inoperative for 12 to 18 hours, give or take who you talk to, and people knew that it was coming. The second one is that the Australian government has announced that they're going to build a new AI standards or frameworks through a new department of our government. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? But it shows us a really big set of leadership problems. So let's have a bit of a think and a look about what these different things are. I talk about these things often because of that whole reason. There are great, brilliant minds out there that aren't being heard. They get relegated to just being technical or too much. I get it. I'm too much for a lot of ordinary people. I'm too abnormal. At the same time, I'm not neurodivergent enough, but I am. I'm autistic. I have ADHD, I'm a polymath, I have a little bit of OCD too. And I do some pretty great stuff. How I know these things is these 30 years that we've been doing it all. Now, to prove a point though, right? Don't just listen to me, let's listen to the others. At the end of last year, 2025, I went to electrical engineering conference and I sat down with about 30 different people and I asked them the question, what's stopping you from stepping up to a leadership function of some form? Two big answers came through, and this highlights it. The first one, they don't like their middle managers. Can't blame them. They looked at middle management and those people that they report to and go, why would I want that as a job? Well, the good thing is, that's not really leadership. That's management. That's a discussion for another day, but it's completely different. But if that's what they're looking to, there's not much inspiration there. The second issue though, that all of them mentioned, was that they looked towards politics as some sort of litmus test of what a leader should be or look like. And they hate, they hate spin, misrepresentation, and they look at the creepiness or the sliminess of politicians and go, oh, again, I don't want to be that kind of person. So how can we blame people then for not wanting to step up to develop leadership skills? And the good news is they can be learnt, they can be developed, and they're not that challenging. And they make our lives a lot easier. We can create influence, make change, work with great people, and it's not about middle management. And that's the reason why I wrote my book, Weird is the New Normal. Quick plug briefly. Because I wanted to write something for all of us technical and neurocomplex people about leadership in a completely new playbook. Because the old playbook just doesn't work anymore. And what we're going to talk about in just a moment is that it's not working, right? And so let's have a think about those events. So the two events was the big Telstra outage that occurred this week. So the Telstra outage shows us two significant leadership issues. It was a nationwide mobile phone, mobile data outage. The second one is the announcement of a new AI department, specifically to build frameworks, standards to steward and care for AI in our government. Sounds good on the surface, also comes with an issue too. And that's our second issue. There's one issue there. Okay, so let's talk about that one first, because it's not so obvious on the surface, because the politicians are telling us that we'll create these wonderful standards to conform to. The trouble is, it's now 2026 and they're 5 years too late. That's the big issue. So when we race to a standard, we're not innovating, we're not improving, are we? And that's the big leadership issue here. We're already late. Australia is renowned for hampering innovation. Our recent legislation around tax that has just come through highlights that they struggle with innovation markets, intellectual properties, the ways of the future. Why? Because the playbook doesn't work anymore. Everything changed. We're in the post-industrial era, it's the digital and human era, and we're just not ready for it in government. It shows a really big issue that there is around regulation and what it is to have judgment. Because if we allowed agency amongst all the different people that we've got there, encouraged leadership skill sets, we would have seen what was needed 5 years ago. And how brilliant is that? And so that is just completely rad. But we're delayed. Now, the good news is we're playing catch up. It is a good thing to have strong stewardship in government around AI. Great. They're in a race now. Let's see what they can do. Now, the thing is that judgment can happen and great minds can bring that to life. So my encouragement to our government is don't wait. Don't wait. Listen to these people, help them, because you need them, because they're so much already ahead of you. If we're going to lead in the innovation game in Australia, we need to listen. We need to get there quickly. Not rushed, just quickly. Now, two big issues from the Telstra issue. And so this highlights to us two really big, significant leadership issues. It's not that it happened in the first place. Things happen, don't they? Life happens. Nothing is perfectly resilient. But there are two really big issues, and I guarantee you a lot of people noticed it a long time ago and were not being listened to. Two things. Okay, the first one is those organisations that relied upon Telstra as a significant infrastructure provider themselves made choices not to have other mechanisms of redundancy for resiliency and continue operating in a functional way. They would rather try and blame Telstra for that. Sorry, you can't blame Telstra, that's your fault, not Telstra's. You didn't listen to your people around the weights and priorities that needed to happen. These things happen. You accept the decisions that you made. First big leadership issue there around judgment. Notice a theme here. The second one is what was the fix to the issue itself and what was going on with the Telstra leaders when they probably weren't listening to the people that knew about it. There was a timing issue. Time is a really big technical thing that all technology around the world, from simple navigation through stars and a stopwatch, through to complex GPS and electronic mechanisms of time, is intrinsically important. Telstra runs probably $1 billion operation, and yet the equipment that failed was only $30,000 to replace and get on top of it and fix it before these issues started to arrive. They were on old equipment. The engineers, the technical people, these neurocomplex and divergent, contrarian, whatever you want to call them, people knew about it. And I would hazard a bet every single one of them have been trying to create influence and trying to show you that they needed to be resolved. And that is the leadership failure. They didn't listen to build understanding and create the actions necessary to solve a problem, especially when it was a cheap solution to solve.